Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to October 13th, 2022 regular meeting for the Human Services Advisory Board. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. And I will call the roll for the record. The board members that are in attendance: Allison, okay, Mary Earls,
Present.
Ruben Garcia, Ruben Garza, Monica Gonzalez, Rachel Montgomery,
Present.
Joanne Parsons, and Gloria Quinn. Mariana Zamora.
Present.
Okay. With out of 7 voting members in attendance, we have a quorum. Staff, is anyone present in person, online, or by phone to speak during the citizen comment period?
No.
Okay. Now, we will now consider approval by motion of September 29, 2022 meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion? The motion is made by to accept. To accept.
Made. Motion.
Thank you, Mary. And do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gloria. Okay, does the board have any discussions or corrections regarding the minutes? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, we will now receive a 5-minute presentation by the applicant agencies for each program that was listed on this evening's agenda. Each agency will receive a 30-minute warning as the 5-minute time limit is approaching. Each presentation will be followed by a 5-minute question and answer session between board members and the agency regarding the program or application. Members of the public are welcome to listen to the presentation, but will not take place in the discussion or the question and answer session. Time limits will be strictly enforced on both the presentation and the question and answer session. Since I'm a voting member on the board, so that I can devote my attention to the presentation and discussion, staff will introduce the presenters and track the time. So Carol, that's you.
Okay, our first agency this evening is Girls Empowerment Network, and the program is called Girl Connect, and the presenter is Chelsea Dean Martinez. Chelsea, it's all yours.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. I timed myself. I should only be about 3 minutes, so I'll stick within my 5 minutes. But hello, I'm Chelsea Dean Martinez. I am the Development Director at Girls Empowerment Network. Thank you for providing the opportunity to come and speak to you all tonight about our application to your Human Services Grant Fund. Our application is for our school-based program, Girl Connect, which provides girls with a weekly support group on their school campus for an entire semester. Before I go into those details, I did want to give you all just a better understanding of our organization. So we have been intervening and combating issues disproportionately affecting girls since 1996. When we were founded, we were addressing issues like disordered eating, unhealthy relationships with drugs and alcohol, and more. Unfortunately, we still exist to combat many of those same issues, but with added problems that social media has created, and more recently, the devastating effects that COVID-19 has had on our youth. While COVID affected everybody, and really all of our youth, the data is telling us that it affected our girls and our young women disproportionately. As you'll have seen in our application, we talked about the recent data released by the CDC, reporting that they saw mental health related ER visits spike in hospitals across the country, a 31% increase to be exact. At the same time, we got reports saying that suicide attempts made by girls increased by 50%, while their counterparts saw only a 4% increase, so 4% increase among boys. Girls Empowerment Network exists to combat these scary statistics. Girl Connect provides girls with an extra layer of support, and for many, their only layer of support. Our school counselors and our school social workers are reporting that their caseloads are too big and that they don't have the bandwidth to provide the support to all the students that are requesting it. We view ourselves as a part of the village that really comes together to take care of our youth. Girl Connect provides a consistent space for girls that they can count on every single week to come and find that support. They get connected to a relatable role model. Our program coordinators who are facilitating the groups that we like to call girl experts. Peer bonding is facilitated, so they're making lasting friendships and connections with girls on their school campus. And they're walked through a curriculum that equips them with the skills needed to navigate adolescence. The core of our curriculum is self-efficacy, or the belief in your ability. Research identifies self-efficacy as a foundation to future success, so it is a prerequisite. In order for our girls to reach their full potential, they must first believe in their ability. Increasing a girl's self-efficacy, so again, just a fancy way of saying her belief in her ability, it makes her more resilient, more determined, and more capable. A high sense of self-efficacy is linked to higher and better academics, better careers, and better mental health. So in summary, when we increase a girl's self-efficacy, we help her recognize her power and her potential. And when a girl feels powerful, she is unstoppable. I actually really love talking about Girl Connect. I am in a unique position to where I used to facilitate Girl Connect at Girls Empowerment Network, and I used to facilitate Girl Connect in San Marcos. So I have experience facilitating this group at Miller Middle School, San Marcos High, the Alternative Learning School, Days of Alla Elementary. So San Marcos has a very special place in my heart. And I'd love to answer any questions that you may have about our programming, though before I officially end my presentation, I did want to just quickly chat about how we measure our impact on a girl's self-efficacy. In 2019, we hired a director of impact, Dr. Sarah Miller Fellows, and using research-based evaluation methods, she created a very specific pre and post survey that we could use with our program participants. This pre and post survey uses a two-tailed t-test to measure girls' belief in her ability before and after our programming across 6 different domains. Those domains are critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, coping skills, and confidence. We chose these because they represent the 4 C's for 21st century learning. This is something that was voted in by, this was something voted in by a bipartisan congressional caucus. And essentially a two-tailed t-test is just a method that helps us measure statistical significance. So with 4 years of data under our belt, we're really excited to prove that we have a statistical significance on girls' belief in her ability. So essentially, Girls Empowerment Network is really igniting the power in girls by teaching them the skills to thrive and believe in their ability to be unstoppable.
5 minutes.
That's
Okay,
it.
and with that, we'll start the question and answer session.
Do y'all have a certain time that you are in the schools? Like, do you pull them out of class, or is this, I know that this is not a part of their curriculums, but do they have a specific time for y'all to meet with the ladies?
That's a great question. We work really specifically with school administration to identify a really good time. A lot of the school campuses actually have a set time for extracurriculars or for social emotional learning. So we will usually take those time periods if they have it. If not, we'll really focus on off periods or extracurriculars and really try to never take girls out of their core curriculum or like their core classes. So that is for when Girl Connect happens during the school day, though we do offer Girl Connect for after school programming as well.
How many participants are actively participating in the program at this time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our impact data just came out from the previous year, and we served over 1,400 girls through our weekly Girl Connect program. 1,100 of them were in the Central Texas region. With this grant application, we're hoping to serve 100 unduplicated clients in San Marcos.
How many are active in San Marcos right now? How many are you serving in San Marcos, Hays County?
I could pull the exact number. I know we served over 100 girls last year. I will say that we're really just now getting into our programming for this school year that just started at the end of August, beginning of September.
Thank you.
Chelsea, could you speak a little bit to Jen's like retention efforts as far as working with students if they had attendance issues or are missing group sessions, things like that?
Absolutely. So naturally, whenever we go to schools and are working with a school counselor, a lot of the girls that get referred to us are girls who are having truancy issues. We have seen that Girl Connect has a positive impact on truancy issues. Actually, one of our very first third-party surveying that we brought in before we had hired our director of impact showed that Girl Connect increased a girl's school attendance. I remember whenever I was facilitating programs, I had some girls that were like, I come to school because I know it's Girl Connect Day. And we're like, well, we hope you come to school every day, but we're glad that that group is helping you come to campus. But yeah, we work really hard to help girls feel connected to their school campus, feel connected to their peers. So they're coming to school.
So out of the 1,400 girls that you serve and the 1,100 that you're trying to add to Central Texas region, you're only serving about 100 ladies in San Marcos?
Yes, that's correct. Central Texas is also Buda, Kyle, Del Valle, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Georgetown. So a pretty wide range, but I can send over the exact number of San Marcos girls served in our last school year.
So I was having problems with my computer, so I couldn't download all the information, but where is the bulk of your money spent?
On staff salaries for sure. So as I was mentioning, the people who facilitate our programs are program coordinators that are permanent staff members. This is something we really pride ourselves on. It's not a volunteer-led program, but folks who have social work backgrounds, psychology backgrounds, who really have an expertise in this group work with girls. So majority of our program budget is spent on staff salaries and benefits.
Are those the mentors you speak of, or?
Yes, they are the girl experts who come and facilitate the weekly programming.
Does it get even more detailed? Like, I mean, you mentioned suicidal ideation and ER visits and how girls are more likely to, you know, be identified rather than boys. Is there some, are these girls that have identified it more risk for that, or are they also getting additional help? Not that
Yeah, no, that's such a great question. So we work really closely with the school admin, school counselors to identify girls who need the extra support. And so a lot of times it's girls who are struggling with mental health problems. But like I said, we're just a part of the village. So when we know a girl is struggling and if she shows any signs of that, we are mandatory reporters. So we will always work with a school counselor and anybody else to get our girls additional support if we think it's needed beyond our group.
5 minutes.
and do you have any kind of matching funds, additional funds? I'm sorry, I don't have access to all that because I had problems.
We don't have, and I'm so sorry, I think I heard 5 minutes, but I'll just answer that quickly. We don't have matching funds, but we do have funds from a private foundation to serve in Hays County.
That's on board or pending?
That's on board.
How much is that?
25,000.
Okay, and we'll have to call time at that. And so we'll go on to the next agency, which is the Salvation Army. The program is Emergency Assistance and the presenter is Lisa Cruz.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I have to apologize for my camera. I'm having to hold it while I'm doing this because it's putting me sideways and I don't know how to change that, but thank you for letting me be here today. The Salvation Army is requesting this grant to help keep our emergency programs running throughout the year. This is all about helping people, helping those less fortunate in our local community. Have you ever been hungry? Have you ever been homeless? Have you ever been facing disconnection or eviction? Have you ever lost hope? That is what the Salvation Army is here for in San Marcos. And this grant will help us continue to be able to help our community. We are getting ready to start our Red Kettle season where we go and ring the bells. And in the past, this office has tried to run on those funds, but it is not enough. If it was not for the HSAB grant funding we received last year, we would not have funds to help nearly as many people as we have been helping this year. We have seen an influx of people needing help with utilities, and the majority of grant funding that we have requested goes to this part of our emergency programs. For example, last month in September, we helped 174 individuals with emergency assistant programs, not including our food programs or children programs. This totaled over $11,000 and $10,000 was for utilities alone. The remaining was for prescriptions, IDs, and transportation. The HSAB grant that we had helped with about half of this amount last month. This shows that we were able to help more people with the grant. We would be out of funds months ago, considering how many people have been coming to our door this year. So I would just like to go over some of our programs that we currently offer. I don't know if I can share a screen. I do have this right here. Now it'd probably be better if I could share it.
Lisa, I can make you a co-host. real
Okay.
quick.
Yes, please. Share screen. Okay, I see it down here. Okay. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So in our emergency assistance programs, we have utility assistance. Utility assistance, we help up to $250 per household one time in 12 months. It is on an emergency, basis. So they come in, they fill out an intake form. We do a budget with them. If the bill is higher than $250, then they need to bring it down, and we try to give them resources to get that bill down to $250. Salvation Army policy, we want to get them to zero so that they can have a fresh start. Transportation assistance, this is mainly for homeless people that are one-time assistance to a place, a loved one, a family, to get them off the street or confirmed employment. We call to make sure that they have a place to go to. We don't want to just ship somebody to another town and have them on the street. That doesn't take care of any, of the problem. So we will do a one-time Greyhound transportation. It's not for like day-to-day activities. It's to get somebody off the street into a better situation. Prescription assistance is up to $150, one time in 12 months assistance. This has to be non-narcotic. Unfortunately, I know there's a lot of people that have some medications that are narcotic. The Salvation Army policy is that it does have to be non-narcotic and under $150. So a lot of cholesterol, diabetic medication, eye medications, they can just come in. The same thing, we have a process where they fill out an intake form. We go through their budget, find out what's happening, why they can't. And if they do the utility assistance, the prescription assistance, they can still get that within 12 months. So if they do they get help with utility assistance and we find out that they just have no income right now and they need medication, then we will help them with prescriptions as well. Birth certificates and IDs, this has increased. The amount that we are paying for this is not as much as utilities, not as many people are coming in as utilities, but the cost to get somebody an ID is $6, $13, $33.
30 seconds.
We helped one family get like 5 birth certificates. Food pantry, snack bags, this helps them get into housing as well as getting employment. We help people with food pantry one time every Thursday, snack bags to homeless people. And then we also help with clothing assistance, steel toe shoes, to try to get people a good start for first day of employment. So these are the programs that would be covered in our emergency assistance programs.
Okay, thank you. And we will start the question and answer period now.
Okay, sorry.
How much do you raise or did you raise last year for your Red Kettle?
So last year, our goal was 55,000 and we raised 53,185, I believe, after QR codes. Without the QR codes, which is the phone little tag on the Red Kettles, we made 50,000. So we did not meet our goal. We got very close, but with inflation and with just seeing everybody's electricity bills out of control, that isn't enough. We would have been out of funds the first, $10,000 a month for utilities. We would have been out of, our office would have been closed by May. So. And I could say that COVID did affect that, finding bell ringers, getting volunteers. You can't make somebody ring a bell, but we try.
For your clothing assistance, where are you getting your clothing from?
We will go to Walmart and we will purchase that clothing, or Academy, depending what, if they don't have steel toe shoes at Walmart, then we'll go and to another location. We're not designated just to one place. We've gone to Goodwill. We've also, sometimes we have people who donate clothing here. And so we'll go through that first and see if there's anything that might be, that they could wear for work. We don't have a store here. It is just one closet. And then also Southside has a clothing closet. So sometimes if we have leftover clothes or too much, we'll give them to them. And we'll send people over there as well. But for steel toe shoes and non-slip shoes, it's usually Walmart or Academy or something like that.
And you said $250 for your utilities. So what do? Have them, if it's over $250, you'll have them go and try to bring it down to at least $250 and you pay the last $250? Because if you don't, then they could still get their utilities cut off.
Yes.
If they don't have all the money, and that's just kind of a waste.
Yes, and they could be
Yeah, sure.
disconnected, and a fee could go from $40 to $170 overnight. And we give people resources. So if their bill is too high, we try to work with the other organizations in the area.
And for your food assistance, do you connect with the food bank, or is that, I think you said the snack pack from the food bank, or are you buying that as well?
No, we are actually partnered with the Hays County Food Bank. And so they provide us a good variety of snack packs every week. Right now we're receiving 50 a week, and they work with us and they bring that amount up or they bring that amount down, depending, how many people are coming to our door asking for food. And they also provide food for our food pantry. Now, sometimes we might run out before the next time, then we would purchase that. But really what we're using these funds is for utility assistance, transportation, and prescriptions, clothing like steel toe shoes. We're not having to really use these funds for food right now.
Okay, I was just trying to get an overall view of how your funds are spent collectively. I'm sorry, Gloria, I cut you off. Did you? have something
No,
else?
I think we were kind of asking the same thing. So are you seeing any changes in the demographics this year versus last year? I mean, it's still primarily women and kids? or-
I would say so, yes.
Do they
Family.
just walk into the Salvation Army, or how do you get clients? How do you?
So people call, we also get referrals from headquarters. We also get referrals from other organizations locally. There has been so many people coming lately that we have had to start taking appointments, and we're about a week out with appointments. But if somebody cancels or doesn't show, then we try to move them up. And so far, we've been able to accommodate the amount of people that have been coming in that way. But we do have to tell them sometimes that they're going to have to call their utility company, see if they can get an extension, because we just have so many people coming and we can't help them all in one day.
5 minutes.
Okay, we'll stop there and we'll go to the next agency, which is called Access, which stands for the Association of Collaborative Communities Equipping Youth for STEAM Success. And STEAM is science, technology, engineering, entrepreneurship, agriculture, art, and mathematics. And the program is just called Access Programs. And the presenter is Dr. Shatay Ashford Hansard.
Thank you so much. I have a presentation that I would like to share, if that would be okay.
Sure, let me make you a co-host.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can you see my screen okay?
It says you've started screen sharing. We don't see the screen yet.
Okay. Let me.
And this is not eating into your time, like this is just transition time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me click on slideshow. Let's see here. Okay, are you able to see my screen now? Or?
I don't see a presentation.
Okay. Okay, what about now?
Nope.
Okay, let me stop and start again. I apologize. Let me.
No
just share
worries.
the entire screen.
Okay, and then while you're doing that, I will answer a question that's been put in the chat, and that is organizations that have already presented do not need to stay around. You are welcome to. We'll have a short discussion time after all the presentations, but it will only be among board members. And so agencies that have already presented are welcome to drop off if you want to. And okay, so now we can see your presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I wanted to share more about who we are, to provide more background of our organization as well as our program. And so thank you for explaining the acronym. I just wanted to share just the origins of the program. This program was initially started as a research project. In addition to being the president and CEO of the Power to Prosper Community Development Corporation, I'm also an associate professor at Texas State. And so as part of my research agenda, I was fortunate to be funded initially from 2017 to 2020 by the National Science Foundation. And so this allowed me to be able to create the Access Network, which is the assumed name of Power to Prosper CDC, and then also be able to develop this evidence-based model, which serves as the framework for the Access STEAM camps and clubs that's been proposed through this process. And so this really just shows where we've come from, and then some of those initial inaugural partners, some of the logos that you may recognize in terms of who participated in 2017 in our focus groups and helped us obtain feedback from the community on designing the access model. And so really this collaboration, and I'm really passionate about how can we leverage resources from the university to really inform and impact the community. And so this is really just showing the alignment of Power to Prosper Community Development Corporation. Our legal name was the P2P movement, to provide clarity about what is the P2P, because I always would be asked, what is P2P? And so it stands for Power to Prosper, and it is a 501c3 organization since 2018. And so, and the whole initiative is, and really the function of this organization is to garner resources and funding to close the racial wealth gap in underserved communities. And so to really bridge this gap from research to the community, we formed an assumed name, Access Network, and you've already described this. And so the initial function was to just serve as a coalition, bringing together faith-based and community organizations with resources and funding. But as we got involved with training other partners on our evidence-based model, these are the 9 guiding principles of the model, we realized there were additional needs within the community, and really matched and aligned with some of my passions personally, to really to not just live and work in San Marcos, but to serve San Marcos. And so these are the 9 guiding principles. So it's definitely based on evidence. And this whole model is really focused on how do we reach Black and Brown students who have been historically marginalized within communities of color. And so there are different aspects of this that through our professional development training, we're also sharing this knowledge with other faith-based and community organizations. And we have been providing stipends to help support primarily the camps. And so I want to, first of all, and I should have said this from the beginning, thank you for funding us on last year, because we were very fortunate to continue those relationships, as well as to serve as a direct service provider to complement other partnerships within the community. And these are just some of our, again, those guiding principles and some of our emphasis. So we want to make sure that whenever we provide, that is culturally relevant and responsive to the needs of the community. Additionally, I want to share as well our impact. And so in 2017 was when this project initially launched, and there was a process of working with community partners to be able to identify just some of those, first of all, STEM success skills that students need to be successful, in particular, students of color within marginalized communities, as well as to understand what are the current resources. So we did an asset map, because we don't want to duplicate services. We wanted to be able to fill a gap. And so as a part of that, we were able to train, and in 2019, we know what happened in 2020, we were able to come back around even after the NSF grant ended in December 22. And that was hence the initial call for us seeking additional funding from the city of San Marcos to sustain this program here where it started. And so there's a measurement that there's different metrics that we measure, but in particular, we're looking at how does these students' engagement in these different learning opportunities. Thank you. I have 5 minutes.
You're at 5 minutes.
Okay,
and so
thank you. How does it increase or cultivate?
Oh no, I'm sorry, Dr. Ashford answered.
Oh, I'm at time. Okay.
You're at time.
Okay, sorry. Well, you can
Sorry.
read the metrics here, and I can answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And then we will start the 5-minute question and answer session now.
Can you explain a little bit about your summer camp? And what do you do? Where do you meet? How many kids?
Yes, this past summer, we actually hosted for the first time based on funding that we received from HSAB. We hosted our very first direct summer camp. We were able to reach totally 96 students throughout Texas. So we have a partner in Houston that we help serve, but here in San Marcos, 69 students. And so in addition to our food distributions, where we've served over 400, so reaching those families that also are connected to the camps and the community at large. But the camps we have a curriculum. It's a STEAM VBS curriculum that was developed, and we provided this summer a STEAM VBS for students that wanted to participate in that. In addition, we had a horticulture camp where we partnered with the Dunbar Community Garden, and we had a series of 8 individual camps consecutively for over 8 weeks, and the kids loved it. And so that was pretty much those camps. But in addition, we also partnered with Centro as well, and Dr. Sean Justice to support his work. And there were a few other partners that we partnered with this summer.
For the Grady Youth Council and YSB, what exactly do you do with them? Do you go, okay, you can answer that.
Yes, really, it's around providing the evidence-based model to help guide the learning, because we have access to the tools and resources such as the pre and post assessments. So we train YSB and other partners on how to utilize those assessments, and they implement those practices within their camps. And so really it's about an evaluative model to help improve outcomes of the summer camps.
Okay. So these are kids that are kind of lost, get lost in the gap, like with YSB and the Grady Youth and your Brown and Black students as well. Okay.
And the
And we focus on grassroots organizations, and that's where we specialize. We want to work with those who are in the trenches. But in addition, where there are needs, we want to help serve those gaps as well.
in the program description and the application, you mentioned a couple of opportunity zones. I'm not too familiar with census tracts. Could you explain a little bit about where in San Marcos, I guess those are?
Yes, that's a great question. And so really in terms of those census tracts, without having that map in front of me, I apologize for not being prepared with that, but it stems from a study that I did looking at concentrated areas of poverty within San Marcos. And so in terms of, we know one would be on the, and I'm directionally challenged right now as you ask me this question, but across the highway close to San Marcos High School, in terms of where federal opportunity zones are designated within our communities. And so with the Access Bridges program, we really wanted to identify students within those areas to be a part of the internship component. And so we recognize that, in terms of the overall budget to pay students $10 to $12 an hour for a number of hours a week over 8 weeks is very aggressive. And so at this point, since turning in our application, we want to focus on just the summer camps and continue to do that well. So we would be happy with just continuing that work. But that was initially what the opportunity zone areas in terms of over near San Marcos High School. And there's another area on this side of the highway as well. But I don't have that directly in front of me, but it was really connected to the Access Bridges internship component that we wanted to launch, that we haven't launched yet because of resources.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
I think you were trying to launch that last year too, and we concentrated on the summer camp.
Where does
5
the
minutes.
faith-based part come in? Are you affiliated with a church or churches or?
It was really connected to the organization, the overarching nonprofit organization is a faith-based nonprofit, so developed based on faith-based principles. And then the intentional goal of my research, in addition to that, is to work with faith-based organizations, because historically, if we want to reach students of color within historically African-American and Hispanic communities, the church or faith-based organizations, I believe, are resources and assets that we can leverage to reach students that would be historically marginalized.
Oh, okay. So it's faith-based by principle. You're not necessarily, okay. And I hate to focus on money, but money is an issue always. Yeah, you asked for a substantial increase from last year because
I repeated what I asked for last year, but as I mentioned, that was in hopes of being able to launch the Bridges component, but we are happy with continuing the work and sustaining the work from the previous year.
And I'm sorry, we'll have to stop there just to be in fairness to the other organizations. So we'll stop there.
I think Mariana had one more question, but could she email that? Or
Why don't you go ahead, I guess? I don't know, just
No, it's
trying to
okay.
keep it to 5.
No, I understand. There was a second question I had after my first one, but I'll just let you know that later, Carol, and we can email that.
Okay.
That's okay.
thank you.
Okay, then we will go on to our next agency, which is Southside Community Center. And the program, there are 2 programs on the agenda. The first one is going to be the transitional shelter, and the presenter is Deborah Villapando.
So
Oh,
clearly not Debbie.
or Andy.
Debbie had something else she had to do, so I offered to fill in. I actually filled out the grant application and I have for the past 7 years. So the transitional shelter, we've worked side by side with City of San Marcos since I've been there. I've been there over 7 years. I think it's hitting close to like a decade or 2. The purpose of it is we kind of keep a broader scope of what we use the funding for. When we tie it to our transitional shelter, it's not just a place for families and individuals that need a place to sleep. We have, and again, all this is in my application, so I won't go too much into detail, but we have a process, and we do drug screenings and kind of financial literacy and try to encourage them to develop and create a savings account just to, increase longevity of their well-being. We have a daily meal that falls under the umbrella of the transitional shelter. We serve dinner every day from 4 to 6 and that's to anybody in need of food. We also have a food pantry that if it's outside of our operation hours, as far as the meal, they can come in, we'll let them tell us what their needs are. We'll go back there and see what we can do. The majority of that supplies comes from, we have an agreement with the Hays County Food Bank. I spoke with a national food donation program, and we've been connected with the Chick-fil-A's in San Marcos, the KFCs here and in New Braunfels, Red Lobster. All of their surplus food goes to Southside. We utilize those in the meals, and then if need be, we supplement with our own funding for groceries. Additionally, with that, we have 2 washers, 2 dryers that I've had to replace multiple times because they just continue to break down. The funding's not necessarily used for that, but it is part of the transitional shelter. And then we are, technically this is still in the works, but we've been in talks with a church organization that's interested in donating a shower trailer to us, because it's always been kind of a long withstanding interest as far as our transitional shelter program is concerned to include a shower, because we offer showers at our transitional shelter, but we only have 1 male, 1 female bathroom, and the demand continues to exceed the allotted time. We do it for about 3 hours and try to cap it at like 15-minute showers. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I put a lot of information into the grant application just for simplicity's sake. I think that pretty much touches everything that in regards to the transitional shelter. And I'm curious, was I supposed to continue, like, were these two separate presentations, or did you just want me to go straight into specific assistance?
Let's do two separate presentations, because now they can ask you questions about the transitional shelter specifically.
Sure.
If you're finished.
Yeah, I'm all done.
Okay, so we'll start the 5-minute question and answer session.
In the program description, you indicated that people could have their length of stay extended up to 3 months. What is the initial length of stay that they are granted?
30 days.
Okay, thank you.
And that's based on, cohesion with our policies and whether or not, they're showing progress and potential with the savings. And, we have our operational director, Debbie, she meets with the residents pretty on a weekly basis to kind of assess.
Awesome, thank you.
Andy, what is the intake process like?
We have an application. It's applications based. And yeah, I was going to mention the presentation. I guess it slipped my mind. In the past 10 months, because that's as far back as I really went, we've had 400 applications, which just, we all know that homelessness is a bigger issue that's currently, hitting Austin for sure. And the trickle is in the city of San Marcos, and it has been for the past 7 years, as far as I know. But yeah, we have a lot of applications. We go through the applications, we call them in if we think they are a good fit based on what the application shows us. Whenever openings are available, they come in. If we think the meeting goes well, then we send them directly from there to get a drug screening, because it's part of our policy that the board implemented as far as needs to be a drug-free and alcohol-free zone.
Thank you.
No problem.
Do you have any updates for your funding request for Hays County?
As far as whether or not they decided to increase it? No.
Or grant it at all? I think I saw on the application it still said pending.
Yeah. We've been approved for the 25. We had our board president go there. He's a really passionate person, and he wanted to kind of like make a claim. And whilst their budget was ultimately the reason given as far as why it's not being altered, he did connect with an individual who has a connection with a little bit larger nonprofit, not necessarily San Marcos based, and it has offered to make up the difference. So that organization is going to be donating about $15,000 to supplement the difference in what we were asking for. And we've worked with that nonprofit before, so they know our track record.
Sorry, could you clarify the amount from the county? I see on the application it had a little over 8,000 indicated as requested. Was it more than that?
From Hays County? Because they split it. It's 25,000 divided equally between our programs, which is specific assistance, which I'll get into later, and then the transitional shelter. We used to do a housing rehabilitation program, but with the exit of our long-term director went his contracting license, so we're not requesting, and which is why I didn't request for the housing rehabilitation program this year. So we're trying to focus on where we continue seeing stuff fall through the cracks.
Okay.
Any other questions? Andy, why don't you go on into the specific assistance program then?
Sure. So yeah, it's specific assistance. Typically, it falls under the range of rental assistance and utility assistance, the amount of $50 for utility and $100 for rental. We collaborate with other nonprofit organizations to try to alleviate the duplication of services. We I believe Lisa was her name for Salvation Army. We've worked with Salvation Army. They refer some people over to us if they're trying to get it a little bit lower, and we refer to them if we're kind of at our max. Based on, you know, funding, we kind of have to cap out our amount that we approve. Unfortunately, we'd love to help everybody, but we can't go into debt. So I try to cap it around between 1,500 and 2,000, divided as equally as I can between utility and rental, depending on the need. Couple different things sometimes pop up that we occasionally use the specific assistance funding for, and that would be for clothes that are specifically for job interviews. It can be for some of the transitional shelter residents, or it can just be for anybody that comes in that says like, look, I really want to work. I have this interview, but I need a pair of slacks. And I mean, we do operate a free clothing distribution as part of our, it occupies our emergency shelter space whenever it's not being utilized during extreme weather temperatures. But yeah, that's realistically the main purpose is rental and utility. And while the city and the county, whenever the COVID money was in, was extremely helpful, and we seem to, you know, kind of hit, you know, make a dent in that need now that those programs have kind of run out or reached their limit. Now we're seeing a consistent increase in the amount of applications over the past 6 months. And yeah, I think that, I mean, I can get more into there's a lot of detail in the application regarding this, and I don't want to repeat any of that information. So I think that's pretty much all I have for specific assistance. I can answer any questions you have though.
Okay, we'll start the question and answer period now.
Andy, how often can a resident come to request assistance in either one of the categories?
Every 6 months.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess I kind of left my mind, but during the cold spells, we did utilize specific assistance program, not necessarily HSAB funds, because we had already utilized those, but for lodgings as far as hotels. But I didn't request for any of that, but it's part of the program, just for knowledge sake.
There was a $2,000 figure mentioned. I thought it was max per client to be
So per month.
per month per client.
No, per month for the entire program.
You lost me. $2,000 a month for the entire program for
Specific assistance. So 2,000 times 12 is 24,000, which we make up the difference utilizing individual donations.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like the total max for one individual, because
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no.
I mean,
Should have been
certainly
clear.
rent and utilities can add up to that for just 1 month,
Right, no,
without being
definitely.
extravagant.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, the price of housing is astronomical now. It's just, we're not making as much of a dent as we would prefer to.
That's why when you say $100 for rent, $50 for utilities once every 6 months,
Yeah,
what
That's
is
where
that?
the collaboration comes in, because we try to help as many people with the funding as we can, because if
I mean, that's not much.
right, yeah, and that's where the
How
Salvation
cool is
Army
that?
comes in, and we have a couple of different what is it, the names escapes me, but St. Vincent de Paul and some other organizations like that, where we've discussed it at our board meetings, but if we were to increase the cap per person, to 500, realistically, we may be able to help like 3 people a month, as opposed to like 15 to 20 if we divide it up, and we're just trying to help as many people with the finite funding that's available.
So you're not trying to pay their entire bill, you're just trying to help a little bit.
We're trying to help. Yeah, we have the same, I guess, like limitation thing as the Salvation Army is it can't be more than 250 because then it wouldn't stop eviction, it wouldn't stop disconnect notice. But with the city of San Marcos and then Pedernales and Bluebonnet is typically the utility companies we deal with. They are far more likely once we get involved and the balance is less than 250 to develop a payment plan that kind of helps them get back on track.
So $100 for rent might give them a little extra money to buy, I don't know, food or something.
Yeah, I mean, well, the payments go directly to the landlord and our property management company, and then the utility payments go directly to the utility company. So it can't be used for food, but
No, I'm saying it would
the
might give
money
them,
they would have allocated. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, mhm.
I guess that's the thinking. Okay.
So like the
Pool your
Salvation Army, do you
resources.
try to get it down to a certain amount so that, let's say that the utilities is over 250 and I know Salvation Army will pay at least 250, but do you try to work with them to get it to a certain amount where you won't give them $50 and then they still get their utilities cut off? Or when you get involved, do you talk to the utilities company to try to make a plan? So that they won't get their utilities disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above, really. That's kind of why we try to collaborate with the other nonprofit organizations because we can't really cure any one issue by ourselves, but collaboratively. I mean, if their balance is 350 and we have a 250 cap, we say we received slightly less applicants that month, we might be able to boost that to 100, and then 250 we can call Lisa and be like, hey, like do you think you can help out with this? And then more than likely in the past they've obliged and helped out, and we've been able to take care of that individual or family.
5 minutes.
Okay, we are at 5 minutes, and that is our last presentation of the evening, and so I'll turn it back over to the chair, Joanne.
We will now hold discussions among board members on the format of HSAB regular meetings, including the length of presentation by agencies and questions and answer sessions, and will provide staff direction. This agenda item was requested by Gloria Quinn. Gloria, what specifically would you like to discuss? As far as extending the time to turn in the numbers instead of tomorrow, did you want to extend that time till next week? Will that be?
I
good
think
for
the
everybody?
decision's already been made to extend it
I
until
don't know if
Monday.
everybody's gotten the email.
Oh, okay, all right.
No decision has been made.
Okay. So.
Well, in that
the
case, I do want to
numbers-
bring it up.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to extend the turning in of the numbers until Monday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's pause. Okay.
Was that the
Okay.
question?
This was not the question. So the question is,
Oh.
so yes, the submitting the scores has been extended to Monday.
Okay,
This
Right.
agenda item is about the length of time that the presenters present. Gloria, you had brought up that you would prefer to spend more time hearing from the agencies and maybe not have a discussion period after the fact next year. And so
Oh,
I put it on the
yes.
agenda so that the board could discuss, is that what everybody else would like as well? And so
okay.
that's what this is about.
Oh, I thought so, but I got a little confused.
Me too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that would
It's
be.
okay. It's okay. So after the presentation, we do a 5-minute question and answer. And Gloria was wanting to do away with that and just have the presentation. How do you feel
No.
about that?
No, that's
No,
not.
that's not it.
That
Yeah,
wasn't
sorry,
it.
Gloria, go
I'm
ahead.
done.
That's all right. No, I probably didn't do a great job I'll explain it to you, but,
Go ahead.
after everyone presents, then there's and I'm paraphrasing, where we speak to what has been presented.
That's what I was-
And, usually the same ground is covered about how, all of these agencies are needed and, they did a good job, or maybe there's a question out there, but, I just think that I would rather have that time spent with covering maybe more specifically the questions pertaining to the rating information, or just more information being presented by the agencies rather than some comments about what was just presented.
And so just to
Oh,
be,
that time, okay.
yeah, just to be
Now I
clear,
understand.
the
Like,
way
what
the
do you
meetings
think?
are set up, the way the meetings are set up right now is 5 minutes for each agency to present, 5 minutes after each presentation for a Q&A, half an hour at the end to discuss. And it's that half hour that we could do something different with and add time to the presentations or the Q&A, however y'all would like.
It's a half hour?
Yeah, so if we have generally 5 presenters,
Right.
and so that adds up to about 50 minutes, and we run the discussion until about 8:25, if everybody has something to say and wants to go that long.
Okay. I don't know, what does everybody think? I was specifically speaking to the part where they present and then we say something about the presentation, which I think is, unnecessary at that point. Does anybody else have any feelings on that?
I agree with Gloria. I think we're going to use that time to ask more questions.
Yeah, or get a
We
little
can
more
have our
information. It's pretty brief. 5 minutes is pretty brief for, some of the presentations.
Yeah, I don't know how you divvy up that time, but I agree. It seems like they need a little bit more time for their presentation and, a little bit extra for us to ask questions about their presentation, but I don't know how you divide that 30 minutes up.
So we could do, we generally have 5 presenters, and so we could give each one an additional 5 minutes. And what we could do, just as an idea, is each agency gets 15 minutes and they can use it how they want, either for a presentation or Q&A, or, it would be a mix of both. But we wouldn't necessarily have to set a time limit for the presentation at 5 and then Q&A at 5. We could just say, you have 15 minutes. If you want to give a 10-minute presentation and have 5 for Q&A, that's fine. Or a 5-minute presentation, have 10 for Q&A, however you want to mix and match. That's just an idea that I can throw out there just to give you an idea how the time might work.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it'll be on them how they want to use their time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I was understanding was like extending the time so that we could ask more questions. That's at least what I think I was understanding from you, Gloria. So then to me, it makes sense for us to define how long we want the presentation, because what I would hate to see is that if someone opted to give a lengthier presentation, yet we're sitting here waiting for them to finish, not knowing how long they're going to take. And then we have all these questions, they're going to quickly run over their time, and we're still going to kind of be left feeling like we didn't have enough time with them to ask the things we wanted. So I'm in
Yeah.
favor of deciding how long we want. How much longer do we feel like we need to ask the questions? But I feel like it's only fruitful to extend our question and answer period if we're really dedicating it to asking questions that aren't on the application already. I know it's come up a couple of times, and I know it looks differently for everybody, but I just feel like that could save us time to ask all the other things that are probably on our mind.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we decrease the Q&A that we have available to ask the agencies about whatever. I'm just saying, and I'm not sure how much time that is after they present and there's this discussion about what's presented. It can't be more than 5 minutes, 7 minutes. How
Right
long-
now it's 5.
Yeah, so it's 5 minutes. But 5 minutes could be applied to something more, productive, I think. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I really would like to, address some of the evaluation questions that we're grading these folks on. That's simple question like amount of overhead compared to program cost. They're like, just you can pick any number of these, any one question of these 5 categories, and it would be time well spent. Especially since the first category has been extended to 50 points. And I'm not sure it wouldn't be a bad idea to just briefly touch on the page 10 of what Carol sent out for what those other 25 points are supposed to be based on. Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yes, so
I know you do.
do you have a proposal? Yeah, I mean, like, do you have a proposal for how long? Like, so Mariana is saying, just to keep this conversation going, Mariana is saying she'd prefer to have a set time limit for the presentation.
Sure.
So Gloria, do you have in mind what you would like to propose as the time limit for the presentation? And then are we understanding correctly that then after the presentation, you'd like to have more than 5 minutes as a Q&A period?
No. Well, if we extend the presentations, that time has to be taken from somewhere else. And the first somewhere else I came up with, again, was right after and it didn't happen today. Right after the presentation, usually there's a request for feedback about what was presented. And it's only 5 minutes, but I personally think it could be spent elsewhere.
Okay, I think I'm confused, so I hope I'm not interrupting too much, but I thought that what you were trying to do away with was the half hour that we spend after all the presentations and Q&A, and instead use that time, put that time into the other part of the meeting. Is that correct?
Q&A with the grantees, the applicants.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
all right.
So like 1 or 2 things I was thinking, for example, was like 1, we completely omit the 30-minute after discussion amongst ourselves, have 15 minutes for each presenter, keeping the 5-minute presentation, but 10 for Q&A, or reducing it to a 15-minute discussion after presentations and adding 3 minutes for the Q&A for each person.
So
One of those two.
you want to increase the Q&A section.
That's what I was trying to clarify and understand with you. So like, is it that during that time you feel like they don't have enough time to present, or we don't have enough time to ask them questions?
Oh, they don't have enough time to present. Or I would like them to take more time to present.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with
Wherever
15
that
minutes
time
instead of
is
10?
borrowed from, especially this short period afterwards where, they present and you make a comment about it.
Sure.
I don't know where this 30 minutes comes in after the
I
presentation.
think one of the reasons that we had them do the presentation was because a lot is covered in their applications that we read over. And
Right.
it was keeping them from duplicating what they had already written in the application itself.
Mhm.
But
But
a
some of these
15-minute
applications are pages long. And,
Right.
digging in there to try to find the information you need to come up with a score could be easily presented in said presentation. That's just my thinking.
But in my opinion, like that is our responsibility. That's what we
Yeah.
were here for and have been appointed to do. So yes, it is very time consuming to go through the applications, but the grantees went through the trouble of writing it. And so what I would like to see personally, I feel like the 5 minutes they have to present is sufficient. If we read through the entire application and don't spend time asking questions that are already in the application, I feel like those 3 to 5 extra minutes for Q&A could be really beneficial for them to clarify what we're going to end up discussing amongst each other anyway, going back and forth, asking each other questions that, for example, all the emails Carol has had to write after each meeting to ask questions. If we had had more time, we could have got that out of the way and got that answer right away.
Or we can just omit the discussion.
Joanne, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I don't know what's up with the internet at the library today.
I was there all day and it was fine.
Well, she's hardwired, so I don't know what
Yeah.
I hope I didn't set it up wrong, but Brandon's right there trying to help probably.
Yeah, it's happened a few times.
Yeah.
I agree with Mariana because I think we do need more time after the presentation to ask questions. And as Gloria was saying, that would give her the opportunity, if she didn't hear what she was looking for, she could ask those questions. She just pointed out that, she was going, not, digging into the application and not finding some information that she wanted. I just think we need to beef up the time allowed to ask questions, the board to ask questions of the presenter.
I was thinking that maybe we could omit the discussion period altogether, which might shorten our meetings a little bit. And then add some of that time to the presentation and a few minutes to the presentation and to the question and answer, and we could do that. Because when it comes time for us to get together, we're going to be discussing everything anyway, and we'll hear everybody's opinion on all on the different organizations. And to me, to have that discussion about all the different organizations and getting everybody's opinion is a repeat for when we get together again, unless that helps somebody with the scoring.
I agree with you, June, to a point, but I think that what I heard Gloria was saying is that giving us more time to ask questions is going to help us on the end. So we don't have to send some emails, because it's not there and we should have asked it, what I'm saying? But I hear what you're saying, but I think that will help us. And if there's that burning question that you just got to know to bring everything together, it's going to make sense from what you're reading in the application, a few more minutes might be helpful. I guess just
I think so too. And then to omit the discussion period. This is the first time, well, last year we've had a discussion period this long. It's usually they end the presentation, and then that's pretty much the end until we meet again to discuss it in totality. So.
Well, and sometimes you don't think of a question until after the fact, and I understand what you're saying about reading the brief, reading the presentation, but just a little more specifics. I guess you could do that in the questioning.
What if we do 15-minute presentations or either 10-minute presentation and then 10-minute question and answer?
Is there enough time allotted for that?
If we omit the discussion period.
So then that would be 20 minutes each, times 5, so it'd be 100 minutes, so it'd put you at about an hour and a half meeting.
And that's without the
Good to say.
transition time that we're already accounting for in the agenda.
And the rest of the agenda.
So it would actually be longer.
It'd be a little
Oh.
bit longer meeting, yeah.
I'm in favor of sticking with the 5-minute presentation and
Me
doing
too,
10-minute
Mariana.
Q&A.
I think if we mess with it, we're gonna run into what we just run in. The problem that we're just running into, Mariana. So I agree with you.
Yeah, 7.
Because the whole thing is allowing them to present just a little bit of about their organization, just to give us a little glimpse into something that may not, that's why we ask, don't discuss anything or don't present anything that's already in the application. Bring us something new. And so to give them more time, I just think that that'll be going into the application, which we don't want them to do. So I think the way it is now, I like it unless you want to add like 5 more minutes or a couple of more minutes to the question and answering. I think it's okay like it is. But I would like to omit the discussion period. Even if it's, you think we need 5 minutes discussion, but a whole 30 minutes and we're going to discuss it anyway later. I think that is a waste of time.
Carol, for clarification, is this just a discussion item or an action item?
It's asking for direction to staff, so
Okay.
you don't have to take a formal roll call vote or anything, but if you come to a consensus, that's what we're really looking for. Like, what do y'all want to do? Okay, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
So if we need to have a little more formal vote, we certainly can.
I was just wondering how to come to a decision, but I've said my piece. 5-minute presentation, 10-minute Q&A, omit discussion after.
Think if we do the 10-minute Q&A, what we're gonna make the meeting time a little longer.
No. So if everybody had 5-minute presentations, 10-minute Q&A, and no discussion after, that puts us at 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, I thought you said an hour and a half.
No.
Okay.
15 times 5 would be 1 hour 15. So there would still be enough time to do the regular agenda and end before 8:30.
And we don't have to use that whole 10-minute question and answer if we don't have anything to ask. So,
No, there's some awkward silence there, which indicates to me that there's no question that comes up,
right.
which is even more of a waste of time.
I think with the 10-minute question and answer, it keeps the ball in our park to where we can still control the whole presentation process. So
From my point of view, when we have those silences, and I know I can't think of any questions, it's either usually one of two things. One, they were pretty thorough in the application that I don't have questions, or 2, the program is pretty straightforward. The services are pretty direct, like it's understandable what they do and how they use the money. Those would be reasons why, for me at least, I don't have questions for some, because it's either laid out in one of those 2 ways.
So do
Okay,
we
so
want to
how do we
vote on?
decide?
Go ahead.
Let's make a decision.
So do you
So,
want to have a vote? I'm sorry, Joanne, I think that's. what you were
yeah,
about to say.
all right, we're gonna be here till 10 o'clock. Do we want to have do we want to have a vote on this now to where 5-minute presentation, 10-minute question and answering, and then delete the discussion? That,
How long is the
That
Q
one.
and A right now? Can I,
5,
5, and we're gonna double it.
yeah.
And
we're gonna, okay, yeah.
So if we do that, do we have the leeway, like, to let them have a little bit longer on their presentation and eat into our 10 minutes of Q&A? Like, can that be flexible? Like, if they're going a little long and we know we have 10 minutes allotted for Q&A, can we give them more time on their presentation if they need it?
If that's what the group wants, I'm understanding that that's possible, but I was not in favor of doing that.
I just meant like if they were
Yeah.
wrapping up like in the moment and we have that, we know we have 10 minutes for Q&A, is it okay to say, yeah, we'll give you an extra minute? Not to structure it to where we add more every time on the presentation.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what I understand from like what we've done so far. Like if they're mid sentence, finish your thought and
Yeah.
kind of wrap it up,
Yeah.
which I
Right,
think is
Dawn, I
okay
agree with-
to do that little leeway.
Yeah. We can, I mean, we have the 5 and 10, so if we want to give them an extra minute to wrap things up, if like, Maria was saying, if they were mid-sentence, then that's kind of what we do now,
Okay.
yeah. So do we want to go ahead and put it to a vote? I guess we're voting on modifying the presentation and question and answering session for presentations to stay at 5 minutes, question and answering to be 10 minutes, and to delete the discussion period. Does anybody
So do you want to call a roll call?
okay. Carol, do you want to do a roll call on it?
Okay, Mary Earls,
Yes.
Rachel Montgomery,
Yes.
Joanne Parsons,
Yes.
and Gloria Quinn.
I think a 10-minute Q&A is too long, but
Gloria, I'd definitely love to hear like what your suggestion is then. Like, I guess you put this agenda item, like I want to know exactly what did you foresee or what do you think?
I just wanted to stop the conversation after they presented where we comment on what they presented. It was probably 5 minutes.
So is that the
So
only thing, is that the only thing that you wanted to do? Was just
that
stop
was the
this?
only thing I was,
Okay.
at that moment, I was trying to accomplish.
To omit
Yeah.
the 30-minute discussion, so our meetings are only an hour.
That's
Um,
fine with me.
Well, right now it's 7 to 8:30. But I don't know where the half hour comes in for discussion. I'm not sure where that half
It's
Are we
hour.
having,
We start at 8.
are we going with another vote, or do you want to, I really don't want to table this for the next
No,
time.
I don't either. So whatever the majority wants to do, I'm for it.
Well, you were the last one to say yes or no.
Sure, yes.
Okay. So we have voted to 5-minute presentation, 10-minute question and answer, and to omit the discussion period.
Okay,
Okay, and that this will start next year.
yes.
Okay,
Okay, thanks for the direction.
okay.
I'm sorry if I misunderstood what you said, Gloria. I want you to feel like you're being heard, and I feel like I misunderstood you. I definitely would, and I know I didn't even vote, right? I don't have voting power, but I was only trying to offer a solution. Like if in fact, then it worked for everybody just to omit the 30-minute discussion and have an hour meeting and keep the presentation and Q&A the same way it is, that's okay too.
We've already voted on it, so, okay, we'll move on. Okay.
Okay.
And so we've spent this time, so I guess we won't hold a discussion for the programs and agencies, or since
That's
we
fine
spent
if you
that time.
wanna omit
Okay,
it,
so
yeah.
we'll omit that tonight. And it's now time to receive updates from board members on activities since the last meeting. Does any board member have an update for the group? All right, we will move on to the next item, which is future agenda item. Did anyone have anything? I'm sorry. Okay. Board members may provide requests for discussion items for a future agenda in accordance with the board approved bylaws. No future discussions can be held related to the topic proposed until they are posted on the future agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act. Does any board member want to request an item for a future agenda?
Oh, no.
Gloria? Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the agenda called question and answering session with press and public. This is an opportunity for the press and public to ask questions related to the items on this agenda. Staff, is anyone present in person, online, or by phone to speak to this agenda item?
There's someone with their hand up. And that says San Marcos Public Library as the name.
Carol, that's me.
Okay.
I raised my hand the whole time earlier. Sorry.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, then we have no one to speak.
Thank you all for your participation. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting? The motion is made by,
Motion.
thank you, Mary. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gloria. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. I will now adjourn the meeting at 8:28 p.m.